Hello and welcome. Have you ever considered moving abroad? If you have, you've probably wondered what your life abroad would look like. When you get there, what is it going to be like? What are your days going to be like? Who are your friends going to be? How are you going to figure out what you need to do to make your life as smooth and struggle free as possible? Well, that's what we're talking about today. And I have two awesome guests. We have two awesome guests with us today that are going to help you out, and they're going to tell you how to figure out those things that you need to know. Hello, hello, hello. I am Rashida Dow from Exeter Summit, and I am here with my lovely partner.
Stephanie Perry. Hello, hello, hello again. I'm Stephanie Perry, also a co-founder of Exodus Summit, house sitter, person who loves the person that I am outside of the United States. And we're super excited for you to discover who you are outside of all of that as well. Hi, special guests.
Hi.
Hello.
Tracie, Michelle, friends, introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Michelle Wedderburn. I am the founder of Casa Elm, which is located in San Miguel de Allende. I have lived in San Miguel de Allende in central Mexico since 2018, and I absolutely love my life. I love how I've redefined it, and I'm looking forward to talking more about it. So that's my story.
Yes.
And I am Tracie Collins. I live here in San Miguel de Allende as well, Mexico. And yes, I'm excited to talk about the Redefining Life Abroad Summit because I am in the midst of my first year redefining my life. Yeah.
All right. Now, when we say redefining your life abroad, how do you guys frame that? Like, what do you think of in terms of that?
I think in the United States, we identify ourselves so much with what we do versus who we are. And when you move abroad, it's more now who are you versus what you do. And so when we talk about redefining your life, it's like, who am I? Like, who have I always wanted to be? And how can I create that person?
Mm-hmm. I feel too that for myself, so many things and reasons, but I think that in the United States, again, our typical journey is go to college, get the job or get some sort of career going, and that's who you are, right? That's what you do. But I feel that living in another country, sometimes that's not an option, right? Maybe if you're a remote worker or something like that, but sometimes that may not be an option for you and you want to live in another place. And how do you do that? So in my case, I feel that I was able to find my sweet spot moving to San Miguel and really reinventing who I was in a way that suited me. And now I can also serve in a purpose of helping other people as well.
Yeah. Did you move to Mexico to redefine your life, right? Did you move to Mexico to work, to get more in touch with who you are and who you always wanted to be? Or is it just a side effect? Like, was this the original goal?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I think when we leave at least for me, when I left the United States, it was really about leaving the ways of the United States behind. And because I checked all of the boxes, I did all of the things that they said I was supposed to do, and I was miserable. I ended up being miserable. And knowing that I could move abroad sooner really gave me something to look forward to. So, and then it just so happened that in the process, I had to shed, and still am in the process of shedding who she was in the States and now embracing who I am here. So it's a little bit of both for me.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say it was also a little bit of both for myself. I knew I wanted to do something in Mexico. When I moved here, sort of a semi-retired situation. But I always said, okay, maybe there will be some women's retreats or something that I will create once I'm in Mexico. I didn't necessarily have a pre-plan of what that would look like, but because I've had businesses in the United States, I also really believe that I could create something as well in Mexico that, represented who I was as a person. So being in this position now and having the business that I have here has taught me a lot about myself as well. Even though I was an entrepreneur in the US, I've learned so much more about being an entrepreneur in a different country. And I want to, kind of encourage other people to pursue those things as well.
Okay. What about you, Rashida? When you moved to Mexico, was it about tapping into a different part of yourself, or did that just happen because
I never understood how different life could be until life was different.
Okay.
I just didn't I didn't know that I was going to feel the freedoms I feel now, and that my life, for the first time ever, I felt completely in control of my own life, right? I didn't know that was going to happen until I just started living. And it was like, oh, I don't have to compete with anybody. I don't have expectations on my life. And some of that, I think, is that the social expectations go away, right? The work expectations are obviously not here because I'm not clocking in with anybody. The familial expectations are a little less present because I can't watch your kids because I'm in Mexico, right? I won't be at happy hour. And so I think a lot of people think about people who are scared of moving abroad, think about all the things they would miss or lose. But I think it gives you an opportunity to kind of clear the slate and add on all the things you want.
Yes.
I see the kids I want to see as often as I want to see them. I just go to their house and then I leave them there when I'm done. Thank you. This was fun. No, I'm not seeing you every week, but when I am seeing you, I'm showering you with all of my love all the time, as opposed to yeah, I guess I could do it again. Right. The friends that I have are friends that I choose to spend time with, as opposed to those that have kind of built up over time where you're a friend of a friend. Sure, we can hang it, that kind of thing. My life has become very intentional that I don't remember it ever being when I lived in the US, right? Where I live is not dependent on where I work for the first time ever, right? I could have a car, but I don't need one because I don't need to commute, right? These are all things that have changed. One, by freeing myself from jobs, and two, by living in a place in which I can comfortably do that without pressure. And I feel even if I could live in the US and not work, but people would treat me like I'm a psychopath. What do you mean you don't? What do you mean? I went on a date once and a guy was like, what do you do? And I was like, I don't work. He was stumped. But the rest of the date, he was like, are you on disability? The whole thing. I was he spent the whole time no, I need to understand. I don't get it. I was like, I'm retired. He was like, no. For real. What, you sue somebody? And I don't have to have those conversations here. People, I think, feel less you don't owe them that information. You don't owe them your life story. They're not entitled to your story the way people in places who focus on where you work, what do you do, and use that to define themselves really feel entitled to that information.
Yeah.
And the only ones who ask us that are Americans from the States.
Yes.
Mexican people don't ask us, what do you do?
No. No. It's funny because I think we're also adapting that, because I have guests here all the time at my space. I never ask them, what do you do? I don't, there are ladies here now, I have no idea what they do unless they share it with me.
It's really freeing to separate what you do from who you are and to have conversations that aren't in the background. And no one admits to this, right? But in the background, you're not thinking how can this person help me? Or is this, based on the job they do, is this a person I want to associate with or not, right? It's
Very
really
transactional.
Yes, it's free to like get out of that system that is heavy, heavy, heavy in the U.S.
Absolutely.
Okay, but seriously though, what do y'all do that you can live in Mexico? Okay, all right, thank you.
I run a platform and an event called Exodus Summit that helps Black women move abroad and take career breaks. I'm also a career break expert and coach.
And I am a women's strategist, and I help businesses either scale up or scale out as a personal coach or in the wellness space as well. Business and wellness are my wheelhouse. So if you are a Black woman struggling with wellness or a woman who wants to get well, I'm your girl.
And I am the founder of Casa Elm, and it's a guest house space located in San Miguel de Allende. And I help people who want to move to Mexico the right way and experience it in a soft landing kind of journey. So that's what my purpose is.
So this,
No.
yes,
Oh, you thought you were going to answer that question?
I am
Right.
a house sitter
Yes.
and creator of House Sitter School, and I also am co-founder of Exodus Summit with Rashida. So I help people house sit. I help Black women move abroad, take a sabbatical, take a career break, bop around as a nomad. But does this mean, so we're entrepreneurs then, okay? For entrepreneurs on your screen, does this mean in order to move abroad and redefine your life for yourself, you have to be an entrepreneur? Is that what we're saying?
No. No. That's one of the things in the summit itself that we will be covering. One of our speakers is going to cover how to get government contracts. I guess that is an entrepreneur.
Let's pause
And
for a second.
freelancer. Never mind.
Let's pause for a second, Tracie. What's
Yes.
up?
All right. So it's the Redefining Life Abroad Summit happening August 10th and 11th, 2024. Virtual summit. Yes.
Okay. And tell us more about it.
So it is a 6 of us, and we will be covering things under finances and family as you transition your life abroad. There's a lot of emphasis on moving, but now we're talking about how do you stay abroad? How do you stay abroad in a way that is healthy and that helps you redefine who you are, and also what you do, to be able to sustain your new life. Michelle, can you?
Absolutely. So in my case, I am an entrepreneur, but I have a brick and mortar. And I hope that my example will help others who may have had a creative idea. Maybe someone wanted to open a little restaurant. Maybe someone wants to be a baker, or someone wants to do a jazz. These are things that my clients have said to me, how do I open a lounge, jazz lounge, a wine club, or a wine bar? And I have that experience of doing that in Mexico, and the whole concept of moving to another country and having the opportunity to start your own business, especially from a brick and mortar standpoint, can feel overwhelming, but it actually is, in my opinion, more doable here because there aren't all the, red tape things that I think we encounter in the US. And it is, in my opinion, it's a bit more affordable as well.
Okay, good. We are talking about redefining your life, right, abroad. But are we talking about do we have to be a person who is interested in starting from zero, or not? We didn't say starting from zero. Rashida said that you get to build, exclude all the things you don't want, start with a fresh slate, and only add the things that you want into your life. But is that the approach is that the only way to redefine our lives? Like, there are people out there who don't want to, I'm a burn it to the ground personally. I'm a bridge burner, right? But, but what about the women who are like, you know what? I don't want to do all of that. I don't, that's not the approach that I want to take. Is there a different way that you see women moving abroad and redefining their life without wiping the slate clean?
I personally, yes. I think that there are people who are doing things on the side where they live if they have their full-time job. Or, for example, I spoke to a client recently, and she was pretty much ready to move on. And we had a nice conversation. And I said to her, why don't you, instead of leaving, maybe you can give them an offer of being a consultant in that same role. So you're not starting from ground zero, right? And it was something where it would be kind of difficult, I think, for them to find a new replacement. So there was some leverage there. So I think you have to think about, like, what is your skill set? What is your thing? And if it's not burning the bridge and starting all over from scratch, because that can be difficult as well, especially in a foreign country. Think about, what are your skill sets? Maybe what are some of the things that you're passionate about? What are some of the things that you enjoy doing? You know, here we have individuals who are, great chefs and cooks, and they're finding a way to get their products and merchandise in local stores and shops and markets and things like this. Maybe in the US that would be extremely difficult, right, to do, for all the permitting and the laws and things like that. So I think kind of thinking about, what are my skill sets? Do I want to be a coach? Do I want to become a teacher online? Do I want to take the skill sets I already have of being an accountant? And I'm not now working in a company, but I definitely don't mind doing this a few months out of the year. But I also want to explore other things. I have someone who is doing just that. I love to sew. I want and photography. So I think that we have to come outside of the box that has conditioned us to think that this is it, right? This is all I know. This is how I made money for the last 20 or 30 years. But how can I continue to do so and extend myself a little bit more?
Mm-hmm. That's a great answer. And it reminded me of a client I have who's on the kind of other side of that, in the sense that, like, it's not that they want to hold on to their job. They want to hold on to their family traditions, right? Mm-hmm. And so even though they live abroad, they're back every year for Thanksgiving, and they stay through Christmas or the New Year, right? Mm-hmm. So that they can be with their family when there are grandkids, and so they still have their life abroad, but they still are back and forth regularly enough and for long enough times for the important dates, right? So there's ways to keep attached to the things that are super important to you. And you should, if they are important to you, you should try to find a way to stay attached to them if you don't want to burn everything to the ground.
And then there are people who live, different places in the world part-time and back, where their native country, to help give them some, balance in life, how they see fit. So that's a part of that.
Mm-hmm. I always say that you can be a new person in a different place. You can be a different person in that place when you don't have the environment like telling you who to be. Rashida and I interviewed a woman years ago now, and she said once she left the United States for a significant amount of time, JC, once she left the US for a significant amount of time, she realized a lot of her, what she thought was herself was just like responses to and reactions to living in an environment where she never felt safe and where she always had to keep her guard up. She found out she wasn't really that person. She just had to be that person to live in that environment. Mm-hmm. Are there parts of you that you have realized either don't have to exist in your new life, or parts of you that couldn't exist in your old life, right? Are there new or old parts of you that you've discovered or discarded because you don't live in the US anymore?
Yeah, for me, I'm not having to live so much in my masculine energy. I'm more able to tap into like my heart chakra self, and to cry. And something I never did in the States. Like, I always was like, no, I'm tough. I don't have time. I can't be that vulnerable. And now I don't wear vulnerability on my sleeve just yet, but I definitely have like opened that part of myself more. So I'm able to be softer, which was part of the reason why I wanted to leave anyway. Mm-hmm. So that's been my story.
Yeah, I think for myself, a lot of those similar type things, but also just kind of the way I viewed raising my kid. I think that was a big thing in terms of the traditional way of education and things like that. And moving here taught me about so many other ways to be and to cherish these years and not worry so much about that high end, A plus zip code school in a neighborhood that didn't feel that I fit into anyway. And I feel that here I've been able to let a lot of those types of things go. When I first moved here, I came in with my, conditioned brain of, okay, where is he going to go to school and how much is it, and get that uniform and buy all the things. And within a few months, I realized, oh, that wasn't a good fit, and being flexible. Maybe in the past, I wouldn't have been so flexible because I didn't know or think I had choices.
Yeah.
I would have just said, oh, this is the school that we signed up for because this is the zip code we're in. And here, like the first school year, I moved him 3 times because I was just like, oh, didn't work. So I think just letting go of a lot of those things that we think has to kind of go a certain way. And also just like, learning about yourself and being able to be flexible, right? Be flexible in your movements in this new place. It is challenging. We all know this because we all live here. But I've just felt that I've been able to grow a lot more than when I was in the US. I was very introverted in the United States. I stayed in my house. If I did go out, it was like happy hour, 2-for-1 martinis at Blue Martini or something like this, right? And once I moved here, I felt that I started opening myself up more, wanting to bring more people together so they could also experience the joy of living in a place that allows you to breathe and to be more human and to feel more human and to also pass that on. Like for me, it was a huge thing to see the trajectory of my life and my son's life changed in the future. I feel that is magical. I have no idea what he's going to be, where he will end up in the future, but he started at 6. So had I started at 6, who knows where I'd be in the world, right? So I'm enjoying that aspect of living abroad, redefining how I've been from the past to now, and just having that opportunity. It's been a blessing.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people who move abroad live more freely, to Michelle's point, which means that if you're in community with people who are also immigrants in the land you're in, you're probably in community with people who are living kind of freely, right? And that alignment is nice, and that alignment helps open you up, right? Because the people that you're around are of the same mindset that you are most of the time. So it's really nice to kind of be around relaxed people who aren't stressing about, the cost of private school and who's going to get what promotion. And, my boss is a jerk every single time you talk to them, right? It's nice to be amongst people who are like, what kind of food do you want to eat today? And that's the combo, right?
We went to 3 different restaurants last night. Myself, Bobby, and Alan. We met at an Italian restaurant. Then we walked to a cafe, spent 2 hours in there. Then we walked to Hank's, and then we got chicken wings. And this was up at midnight. We met at 5, and now it's midnight. But speaking about, and none of us it was that kind of alignment, Rashida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's a lot easier to find those people, right? Because nobody's it's not like we're meeting on our lunch break for most of us, right? We're not meeting on our lunch break. We may have obligations, but for most people who are managing their life abroad, you figured out how to manage your time as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's really important.
absolutely.
Yeah, we in the US, right, we're told that these things are important, but we're not given the tools to prioritize them, right? We're told our family is important. We're told our friends are important. We're told our church or whatever, or our community is important, but we're not given the tools to actually live that way. And so there's always a constant feeling of, oh, listen, I'm messing up, I'm doing it wrong, I'm failing, I'm losing, right? Whereas when you're abroad, you really can feel like I have space for all the things that I want. I think that's a big difference. So everybody also mentioned flexibility. Everyone also mentioned some sort of vulnerability or softness or new openness that you feel because you're not in the US and you don't have to be in that environment, and you can create an environment. I think we're right. Like Move Abroad, right now, the Move Abroad girls, right? The Move Abroad girlies are pretty hippie, right?
Yes.
Pretty hippie type.
We're boho chic.
Boho chic. Thank you,
That's
Michelle.
who we are. Yeah.
Yes.
Different packages, right? I'm not
Yes.
saying everybody's wearing fringe vests, okay? But there is a much more bohemian, a much more hippie lifestyle that the women who we've met who have moved abroad are going after. For the most part, the women who still want to go after the capitalist successes aren't moving abroad.
Right.
And so you don't have to worry that you're going to move abroad and still be in the same environment. Listen, I don't like these people here. I'm not going to Mexico. I'm not going to like those people there. It's a different environment. You're going to find different people, or at least people who are able to access a different part of themselves in a different place.
I think too, because our time is different. Like we're slower to come into our day. How we do things is a little bit slower. We don't have the sense of urgency either. Yeah, so we're able to tap into that more boho chic that we've always wanted to be, but didn't have the flexibility or even the freedom to, because so much in the States, it's like you have to wear your hair a certain way, you have to dress a certain way, especially as Black women, in order to be accepted in this space, or you have to wear this designer such and such. It's not the same.
Yeah. I remember in the I'm dating myself, latter 90s, going oftentimes to Europe. I have a lot of friends in European countries, and I always used to say, how can they do this, right? We'd go out to eat, lunch was leisurely, dinner was leisurely. I remember one of my friends, Daniela, she's like, oh, I'm going to go to New Zealand and Australia for 6 months. And, when I get back, I'll have my job. And just, my brain could not wrap around this lifestyle because I was so used to working and having a job and trying to put money in a 401k. Nothing wrong with that. But it was just this constant, I get 2 weeks of vacation and that's it, right? And I remember feeling always just like, what are we doing wrong, right? What are we doing wrong? And just the time that they would take to have a dinner, a meal, sitting down for a few hours, and fast forward to now, this is what we do, So I feel that I've definitely come a long way, and I get it. I see it. I'm experiencing this lifestyle. When I take clients out, I'm like, I get to work by going to a vineyard. Like, this is my work, I get to hang out and do cool things. I get to show them a beautiful city. And I just think to myself, man, I'm grateful and feeling very blessed, but just the conditioning around only being able to enjoy those things a few weeks out of the year just never gelled with me. I really disliked that lifestyle.
Honestly, it's like the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. It's like, I think being caught up in that cycle, and then it puts you and your nervous system in a place of like hypervigilance.
Yeah.
So when we see people who are moving abroad, they still come with this like energy, and I'm just like, come on, just take a deep breath, it's gonna be okay. But they still have that urgency, like, I got to do this, I got to do that, and we understand it takes time.
It does.
It's interesting because even the small things there are a lot of small things that you have to get used to that are just culturally different, like the way people make space for things like food in their day is something I'm not used to, because it wasn't until a lot of like long-term traveling in places, I realized these people are looking at me crazy when I'm walking down the street eating, because they don't do that.
Yes.
They do not do that. Even like the fast food here, like a taco stand, you sit there and eat your food, get your food there.
Yeah.
You sit there, you eat your food, you give back the plate, you do a little conversation, you exchange the money, and then you're on your way. But like, you know, a lot of us in America are used to like either grabbing it to go to walk somewhere else or eating it in the car because you're headed to the next. There's no space for that. Even the quickest meal, there's no space for that. And moving to almost everywhere else in the world, you got to make space for it. If the expectation is you got to make space for it. It's the same reason that in a lot of places, tourists can kind of get upset, like, I couldn't get my check to come. Maybe they were giving you space.
Yeah.
Oh, they won't come. They will let you sit there all night. They'll probably sit the lights on and
I have been in a restaurant where they were sweeping around us, and we were like, until we say something,
right.
they just gonna keep shutting down the shop. And we are welcome to be here.
Don't go to a Mexican birthday party either. Oh, Lord Jesus. I used to be so on time, 2:00. 2:00 party starting. I was there at 2:00. And, you know, people were there, but then it was like they were showing up for the full event at 6.
Mm-hmm.
By then, I was just like, these kids are really celebrating candy, piñatas, food, just continue. More people coming and coming. And I literally, you know, in my whole condition mindset was, why are we still here? This is a kid's party, you know, there's no wine. Like next time I need to, you know, but I've learned to just, okay, go a little later, expect that people are going to hang out, and they hang out, they talk, and they enjoy each other. They are not rushing through the meals and the experience.
And it's like that in so many places. To the Americanized brain, it can feel like nobody's running on time, but it really is the opposite. I went to a party in Jamaica the other day, a house party, family party in Jamaica the other day. And we were told we need to be there at 1. Our ride came and got us at 1. Everybody else showed up at 5. So when we were at 5, I'm sitting there with my cousin learning family history. Because what else am I going to do? And like the food, we left there, I think, at like 9. So from 1 to the whole day, right? The party was a day job, right?
That's true.
But the rushed, if you're used to rushing, you're going to need to do some adjustments. And it's super easy for some people, and it's very hard for others. I hear in Facebook groups all the time, people complaining like, my plumber is an hour late. Baby, if he comes today, call it a blessing, right? Like, what are we?
Chill out.
Right? Like, if he comes tomorrow, you got the problem solved. But an hour late is not late, right? Like, or I'll see people say like, I remember I saw a post, it was, I'm getting so frustrated with my Mexican friends because they don't show up on time and it feels like they don't respect my time. I understand, but this might not be the right place for you, right? Like,
right.
America, because there's no other, like, maybe in some European countries, maybe like really
like
formal.
Germany.
I was thinking Germany. That's what I was thinking.
Switzerland. Swiss clock.
All them clocks, yeah. Maybe Germany, maybe Switzerland. There's some place, but not France, right? They're gonna be like,
Not
well, I'm
Portugal.
here now. So, the majority of the world, time is just a concept, right? We'll be there. You don't move to Africa, right? If anywhere that I've ever been in Africa, if time, you need everyone to be on time when they interact with you, because that's not how life works. And so wherever you go, there is a bit of like recalibration of who you have been, right? And I think that's where the Redefining Your Life Summit really comes in handy. It can help you figure out what are those things that like I need to think about. What are those things I need to let go of if I want to be successful on my move? Because if you move, you should want to be successful in your move.
Yeah. You'll be, well, not you'll be surprised. You guys know. A lot of people don't think about it. They think about the destination, but not the acclimation. Like,
Mm.
how am I getting into my day-to-day life? How am I letting go of the conditioning and the programming that is embedded within me and adapting to my new place? As you guys were talking, I was also thinking about ways that we've redefined our life as letting go of the modes of transportation, like in the U.S. Like, we walk, like we take buses. Like, I called my mom, I was like, Mom, I took the bus. She was like, oh, I'm so happy for you. I was like, it was 8 pesos, Mom. And I told her what the conversion, it was like 45 cents in USD. And I said, I went from paying a $700 car note to the catching the bus. She was like, oh, that's such a big savings. I'm so happy for you. It's like those kind of things that makes a difference, because you're getting your life adjusted, but you're also adjusting into the way of life where you are and saving money at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another aspect, two things from a personal level is moving with someone, right? That's also a big part of the redefining your life abroad, is being ready to be in that new place with someone or with yourself, or as a single parent. In my case, I came married and I'm not. But how do you make those adjustments? My case isn't special. I've seen a lot of folks that came together and it didn't work out. So being prepared for those types of conversations as well, in terms of, are you both on the same page? What are the challenges? That's not my particular talk, but we do have Bobby on the panel who will be talking about being in a relationship abroad and how do you make it work. And that's a part of redefining, because it's important to understand all the dynamics that go into living in a new country with your spouse and or partner, and or bringing children. How does that pan out for them? Do you have the conversation? How old are they when you're doing this? There are so many things that I think can deter you and from the success that you might be looking for. Maybe one person is the cheerleader for this change, but maybe the others are sort of just going along for the ride. How does that affect your life and your lifestyle being in this space?
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us some more about the speakers and the talks happening at the summit?
Mm-hmm. So like Michelle mentioned, like she herself, I know Michelle, you could talk for yourself, but Michelle's doing like creating a business abroad from a brick and mortar standpoint. Bobby Robinson of Aging Grateful, she is talking about marriage and abroad, exactly what Michelle just described. Danielle Simmons is talking about redefining your life abroad with children. So her and her husband moved, but they have small children. So she's really going to be speaking to the parents with the younger folks. I myself, I will be talking about the wellness aspect of adjusting your life from a wellness space. I may get into business strategy and development from an infrastructure standpoint, but our girl Alum is coming in and she's talking about freelancing and also getting government contracts and how can you do that from an abroad standpoint. Dee Watkins from Brown Girls Invest 2, she is going to be talking about investment strategies and how you can up your investments so you can live off dividends. And not just like tap into your money, but how you can create streams of revenue from an investment standpoint. Did I cover? I think I covered everybody. So it's a panel of
Your community.
and six community. Would you say? Oh yeah, community is everything, and we're going to do a welcome talk about like just an intro, but how the communal aspect is like none other. One of the things, and I keep saying this because it really stuck with me, is Stephanie, when you said, if you want friends, get abroad. And when you said that, I was still living in the States with no friends. And now I have the community that I prayed for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really hard in the U.S. Like we don't have time. We don't have time.
Yeah.
We don't have the mental bandwidth to nurture relationships like we do when we leave the U.S. Right. And just like we said, you're going to run into all the other bohemian chic, boho chic girlies, right? When you're out there. Listen, it's worked for me. I recommend it.
I will say too, like a lot of times people have a lot of dormant issues, and because of the stress and the constant go of the United States, you're not able to address those issues. When you move abroad, those dormant issues are going to surface. It could be in your relationship, it could be within yourself. And what we're finding is that when women are moving abroad, they're dealing with who am I now? They're dealing with a sense of depression because their job was their identity, or even sometimes it could be their marriage was their identity. So there's a lot of mental and emotional stress that they are under because they don't have a sense of like, how can I begin to redefine myself? And there's a lot of hard conversations that one would have to have with themselves, but also it's like, how do I surround myself by like-minded, like-hearted individuals that can support me in my journey and be my cheerleaders for me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if we know that sometimes when you move abroad, not sometimes, when you move abroad, the things that have been buried beneath the surface have a chance to come up. Is this something that we need to, like, do we address stuff beforehand? I don't know. Sometimes you don't know what to address before you come.
I think that's what it is.
Right. But I think too that sometimes people think moving abroad is somehow going to make that better. And it's
Exactly.
not. It's
Yes.
not. And I think addressing it is important. And also, you know, and I speak freely and openly about my personal situation, which I'm not going to dish here, but meaning, you know, having those hard conversations. What if this doesn't work out? Right? Talking to your partner, your spouse about what are the routes that we will take if this doesn't work out together. Making sure you as a woman is in the position to continue to take care of herself if you are the one who initiated moving abroad in the first place. You know, you don't want to be in a foreign country with no money or no game plan. So I think that having those conversations, it's really important. It may be difficult. You may want to stick your head in the sand, but I think it's important for you to have those conversations. It's important, especially if you have children. If you are a one income household, I think all of these types of things need to be talked about. Because moving here, trust,
Just
there's a
don't bring it
whole,
to the
yeah,
surface.
exactly.
Yeah. I forgot to mention one talk. Dee and I are partnering on a talk about LGBTQIA life abroad because our travel and safety and, you know, where you're trying to go and the legalities, the laws and the customs in said countries are not as open, you know, always. So that is something that we want to make sure for people in the community have, you know, a full awareness of.
Thank you. The summit seems like such a great opportunity for people to dig deeper than what
Yeah.
they usually think about when they move abroad. And I think this is really going to help so many people.
Absolutely.
What is something we haven't talked about regarding the summit that you think people should know?
I mean, we're amazing women individually, and you would want to know us.
Oh,
Oh,
we all live here. We all
that's right. We're
actually
all
live in Mexico. We all live in San Miguel. We did
That's
not know each other before, and we
no.
all met here and we came together. I think this was originally Tracie's brainchild. And so I'm honored that you asked me to be a part of it as well. But I feel that that's very special within itself because all the things we're talking about are things that we're all living and experiencing. So it's something that we can all really share with you from a personal standpoint. It feels like it will be more information, but also conversation, like a heart-to-heart chat.
Yeah.
Good. So the Redefining Life Abroad Summit is online August 10th and 11th. Of course, the link to get your tickets, the link to register for the summit is in the description of this video. If you're watching after August 10th or 11th, 2024, okay, still click on the link and see what happens, okay? See if it's time to sign up for maybe the next one or see if maybe you can watch the previous one or both, okay? But that link is in the description of this video. All right?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you guys for allowing us to share.
Well,
Yes.
our audience is going to love this. We really appreciate you being here and sharing this information with them.
Yes.
But I
We
appreciate
appreciate.
you guys for what you guys do too. And like we are like from at least myself specifically from Exodus Summit.
We are, this is a movement, and right,
It
we are
is.
sisters in a movement.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that has done some amazing things, that has a reach beyond what we'll know, right? A reach beyond what we will ever be able to comprehend. It's really nice when people come to your events so you can see face to face, right?
Right. Right.
You
No,
can see
it's
results for yourself.
it's a beautiful thing. I'm very grateful to be here with you both as we've done this before, conversation, we've been able to meet. So I'm just excited about this opportunity to share it with your audience. But in addition to that, to be a part of that movement and to continue to see where does it go in the future. So thank you both so much.
Can we close out with where is your future taking you? Somebody said the word trajectory earlier. This move abroad has set you and your family on a new trajectory. Do you know, can you see, what's your vision? Where is this taking you that would not have been possible, or at least would not have been as easy for you in the US?
I actually see doing more of what I already do. This is new, right? We're doing this summit. We're taking it to a virtual level. I feel that with Casa Elm, I would like to have other Casa Elm locations. So in Mexico, I do think I would stay in Mexico, but yeah, maybe there'll be a beach Casa Elm.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Tracie?
For me, I actually would love to live between Mexico and Costa Rica. And like that's just, Costa Rica was initially my first choice until I came to Mexico, but it still holds a space in my heart. And then since moving abroad now, like I do public speaking, which is something that, and obviously, like I'm a published author, so that those are two different spaces that are very different for me now. But I have manifested it at the same time. And then Michelle and I have partnered on another business level, like officially. So we're excited about that. So it's like endless opportunities.
Yes,
It's amazing.
I believe that. Yeah. So
It's exciting for you guys. Thank you, everyone, for being with us today. Thank you, Michelle and Tracie, for sharing all this information. Do not allow yourself to move abroad with half a plan, right? Like, the move is one thing, getting acclimated is another thing. And so don't forget about the back end. I know it feels like when you touch soil, you get the keys to the apartment, you move all your suitcases in, you did it, but there's a lot more to do. And I think these ladies are the ladies to guide you on that back end plan. So sign up for the summits. Sign up for the
Yeah.
summit.
And you could be moving anywhere, not just Mexico.
Yes.
Yes.
And with that, adios.
adios.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego. Thank you.